Fast forward, yini kumo ewo channel so AGH Politics Avenue. Podcast rocha training because make headlines. Ni jemre na yidibi exomo ewo ha. Eni di mi yahu back se mu se ene di kanya. The best so bitima subscribe to the channel. Hit notification bell so share na afufron so ensa Wontumi nkebe eni di ma onia yanko political highways nim eja edem. Chairman Wontumi me no kasei ne ho assign abasem. Na ni nyina say this time around there. Onu ankasa ni party mu eye primaries ya ebeba so yi ena wo tie Dr. Bawumia echi a odi dwuma sunku bi ede mana onia a dream ewuma ne to adedi ni nyina ne say voters album no ohwe de say esumasi obenten ewo Bryan champon afan enie na yegini din efrim so we ewo Bryan champon afan na wayini din efrim jese omofa akwenia senyina eso na umatimi ayi eye Bryan kofo no efri eye voter abone ma ebedu tama ye koto abano yesi wudin eni eye register ma oria de to adadi a me no kasai abedwafo attraction omo ebo intrimo inconceivable.
This concerns, it appears your internal processes are slow. We've had concerns that there are issues that have come up with Bryan DC, with Wontumi, yet the party claimed to be going through the process, and yet we are yet to see sanctions. How do you respond to that concern?
Yes, this matter when it came up with regard to what Chairman Wontumi has said, quickly my boss, the General Secretary, issued a statement distancing the party from and cautioning members of the party with regards to such comments and how distasteful they are. Again, in that particular release, Akroma was also cautioned with respect to he is also saying he's going to, that he was alleged to have said that he's going to take away people's names from the album. My boss indicated clearly in there that on the two matters, for the setting of the date was not by anybody's decision, by the decision of the National Council. He gave the background to why we went into that particular circumstances, which put aside what Chairman Wontumi had said. Again, on the aspect of the removing people's names on the album, we said and indicated that there are process of how we are going to put together the album. And at that point in time, we had not even begun the validation process of the album. We did so in 2023. And we said that we were going to do the validation exercise for the current album. And indeed, afterwards, we started the validation exercise. It went through. We allowed agents of all aspirants to participate in the validation exercise. And after we had finished with that, we also gave copies to them. And we went ahead to exhibit and gave them hard copies of those particular albums that we are validating and exhibiting. So indeed, all the content and matters that have been raised has been addressed by the process that we are dealing with. But these two individuals have been referred to the disciplinary committee for them to be held responsible for those particular commentary that they have made.
But it's been months. It's been months, and that's the concern. It's been months. How long will they be sitting on this case?
The disciplinary committee, firstly, the report of the disciplinary committee always goes to the National Council. And everybody knows that the disciplinary committee's report, when it comes to caution, when it comes to reprimand, when it comes to certain category of dealings within the party on certain matters, are not made public. So the disciplinary committee have not yet presented. I know that he has indicated that there were sittings there. There were sittings that happened for the disciplinary committee at the party headquarters. And I believe that the disciplinary committee will submit their report to the National Council, and National Council will make public certain aspects of the committee's recommendations with regards to the two individuals. Until that is done, no individual in the party can publish the report of the disciplinary committee. So we are yet to receive that as a party, and that cannot be presented to the General Secretary, but can only be presented to the National Council, to the General Secretary. So when it comes in, the General Secretary cannot open that particular report until the National Council set to discuss that particular report. I know that we need to address certain matters with the speed of light. But however, once we are dealing with processes, you cannot jump some other processes if other organs of the party have not finished with their
But if the process is cumbersome and long, then justice is delayed. And then you embolden other individuals in the party to do same.
Firstly, what is very important here is that the matters that were raised are matters that has been nipped in the bud, because those particular matters, we have proven beyond reasonable doubts that those matters cannot happen in terms of removing people's name, in terms of why we set 31st January. All those particular matters have been explained by the party. It is left with us to agree or not to agree. But those matters certainly is not the position of which those particular individuals have raised. We have good reasons why we are doing the elections on 31st. A majority of the party today will agree with us, because when we first set it, there was so much insult, there was so much attack. But today, majority are agreeing to the fact that it is good we are doing the presidential primaries as early as 31st January. So, yes, we would look at some of those particular matters, but the very important aspect is where the removal is happening and where the misinformation about how 31st was arrived was cured by the General Secretary, and the National Party has also taken steps to ensure that the validation process and exhibition process brings clarity and inclusion, where we allowed the presidential aspirants, representatives to be represented at the validation exercise across all the regions, which has never happened in the party's history.
We have barely 2 weeks to that internal primaries. How are preparations ongoing so far?
Preparations is ongoing. The elections committee of the party today, they had meetings with the representatives. They just closed when I was coming in to the secretariat to have this particular Zoom meeting. I believe that the exhibition process has been concluded. Reports on missing names, missing pictures, misspelling of names and what have you, all these are being put together, and these will be concluded, and then the copies will now be given to the presidential aspirants, and it will be printed and sent to the Electoral Commission of Ghana, where they will be supervising the elections. In terms of security, the Ghana Police Service has taken center stage of the elections, and no party security is going to be allowed. Venue for the elections has been identified by the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Not any regional party did the identification. It's the Electoral Commission of Ghana who identified the venue. All the venues that we are going to use is known by the presidential aspirants and their assigns and agents, and all the processes that we have put through is ongoing. Printing of ballot, when it begins, all the presidential aspirants representatives will be there for the printing to be done, and then the dispatch of those particular ballot papers will also be done in a clear, transparent manner. We are very confident that we are going to have a very clean elections. We are going to have a very good level playing ground and a very peaceful elections that will happen on the 31st of January 2026.
Thank you so much, Haruna Mohammed, who is Deputy General Secretary for the NPP, for your time here on the polls. I still have Kobe with me in the studio. Are you pleased with some of the answers he has given?
As I said earlier, I mean, these are internal party issues. It's not everything that I would want to be. I think he's nodded. These are internal party issues. It's not everything that I would want us to openly discuss. However, I still think that there may be some cause, not necessarily cause to worry, but if some of these issues had been resolved earlier, or there would have been much more confidence in the system. And I'm sure that is why all these are happening. I still think that we have some time. The party should be very proactive in ensuring that issues are resolved as and when they are raised. We just have 2 weeks to the election, but from there we have 3 years. And the outcome of the election and how the election is managed will show whether or not there will be unity after the election. If people think people are peeved with the process it becomes much more difficult to bring them together. But if people believe they've gone through a fair process, it's easier for us to mend our ways to come back to power. What we want to do in 2028 is something that has not done by any political party in the Fourth Republic. That's getting power right after 4 years. So we will need a very strong and united front and one party. And looking at the recent happenings where at least 2.1 million people who voted for us in 2020 didn't vote for us in 2024, it shows that there's a lot of work to be done. And we shouldn't play with such allegations. A lot which we've been confronted with, and some that I said, yes, maybe before the disciplinary committee. And as of now, we've not had a proper resolution which will inspire confidence in the people.
Now let's look at the campaign on the ground. You've been on the ground touring the regions, the constituencies, you've been engaging delegates. How is your message resonating with them on the ground? So
far, so very good. The people are very receptive of the message of honorable candidate Japan. The people have come to understand that he is a man to win power for MPP. And apart from the power that we are looking for, almost every other thing, maybe secondary. Secondary in the sense that as a political party, as individuals, you may have a lot of ideas, you may have a vision, but without power, you're not going to implement that vision. There are a lot of people who wanted to, Edward Mahama and others, Parkwesi Indium, a very brilliant person, may have had a very good vision for the country, but by virtue of the fact that they never had power, none of this vision this vision couldn't materialize. So we are letting the people understand that Kennedy is that candidate to win power for the MPP, and Kennedy is the one who has come up with a clear solution to the major problems that are facing this country, which is jobs, or the major problem that's facing this country, which is jobs. The delegates understand that it is true. The delegates, a lot of them understand that, yes, last election, we may not have made the right choice, and this time around, they are willing to make that right choice. And I'm sure you've seen various polls, by Info Analytics. There are so many polls now. Every day you wake up and there's a different poll. It's not like TV gets confusing. Are you worried about the performance of your candidates? As I said, some of the polls are in our favor. I saw one from Sanity Africa this morning that says we are winning. I've seen different polls by Global Info Analytics. Personally, I would advise that when there's so many polls in the system, people don't even get to digest and study what it presents, because every day there's a different variable here, and a lot of people come to you, what does this mean? What is all this about? I think that the ultimate poll is what we have on the 31st of January, last election. The last poll I saw prior to the last primary, Global Info Analytics put Kennedy at 18%. At the end of the election, he had 37%, which was more than double what I had seen in the poll. So the polls itself are not conclusive. The polls are indicative. The polls are what, as a team, you pick the data, you study what the data is, you know what you learn from it. Because every time you see a poll, there are two things that you have to look for: the credibility of the data and the methodology. Yes, there are sometimes that we may have, because it's a scientific work, there are sometimes that we see the data and we may have issues with the methodology, the sample sizing and all, but there's also a lot to study from, which we do. We have our own research team. We look at other polls that come anytime there's a poll, we look at the reports, and we also do our own internal polling to know what the strengths of the campaign are, where it needs more resources, where do we have to go 2 times, where do we have to intensify the campaign, where is okay, where do we maintain, where should we focus on and all. So all these are things that we consider, but the polls alone do not carry the job. I remember, if I may remember right, I don't remember that prior to the 2016 Trump election, any of the polls went for him. Most of the polls were against him. Even the last poll, that's the point of brought him closer. The last CNN poll put him within he was down by 3 points, but he still won the election. So polls, yes, are good. Polls are indicative, but the ultimate poll and the most important poll is what happens on the 31st. And we've seen a lot of polls going for us, some going against us, but we keep working. And then as we wrap up the conversation, that politics is largely a game of numbers. How many delegates are you confident are on your side? I think that at the end of the day, we get 50+1. I don't think this is even a matter of runoff. Looking at the audited album, they're still going through the auditing. As of now, we are looking at about 210,000 people. I don't think we'll get less than 110,000 people from the regions that I've been to most of the regions. Greater Accra, for sure, we are going to win. Last election, looking at the intimidation, the whole processes, and what happened, it was still, we had 47. It's very likely we are going to win Greater Accra. Central region, I'm sure everybody in this country knows that Kennedy is going to win. Same for Volta region, they have accepted him as one of their own. Oti looks very good for us as of now. I just went to Eastern. Eastern initially was where we all thought was going to be a battleground. We are going through Eastern with Natoshi through all the 33 constituencies. It's obvious that Kennedy is pulling well. Yes, Eastern, all the candidates may pull. I think that we have a slight edge there. Western, North, we are very strong. I think we are going to win with these regions. Bono region, I think we are going to win. Akuffo, we are going to win. Bono East, I still think is 50-50. In the northern part of Ghana, per our own internal polling, and I'm going to go there next week to work, but per our own internal polling and from the information we've gathered, Upper East is looking very good for Kennedy. Savannah is looking very good for us. Northeast, not too good, but we are going to do better than we did last election. Northern region, we are going to do better than we did last election. Same for Upper West. I think that we are on track.
Thank you so much, Kobiama. He's a lawyer and a key member of Kennedy Japon's campaign team. Also joining via Zoom, Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP. Earlier, we spoke to Alhaji Baba Al-Hassan. He is the head of operations for Dr. Bryan Champon's team in the northern region. And that's how we wrap up that conversation. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on that conversation. Away from that, the National Commission on Small and Light Weapons says thousands of illicit firearms have been retrieved under the ongoing gun amnesty program as individuals voluntarily surrendered their weapons. The initiative aims to curb the spread of illegal arms and promote a gun violence-free Ghana. Following stakeholder engagement, the Commission says more weapons are being turned in. At the end of the amnesty period, qualifying firearms will be re-regularized and the rest, we are told, will be destroyed. The Executive Secretary disclosed this after a stakeholder meeting with the Ghana Airports Company Limited and airport security agencies.
Those that were brought so that they can be regularized, we'll take you through the process. If you are someone with good behavior, someone who the law says we can register for you, it will be registered for you after background checks and everything. But those ones that are brought in and cannot be registered, we are confiscated to the state and destroyed. And so the Commission also has one of its mandates to destroy weapons, and therefore now we have the weapon sharer that mails weapons donated to us by ECOWAS. We now have it in country. And so during the destruction, all of you will be brought in, just like we are, so that the destruction will be public. And we have thousands of them that are likely to be destroyed, hopefully this year. So you'll be caught. We'll destroy them, those that cannot be, it's not all of it. Let's emphasize, so that we don't have people say that when I send my weapon, even for registration or re-registration, to be destroyed. No. If you are qualified to own a weapon and it's not legalized and you don't have any shady character, it will be registered for you. If not, it will be confiscated.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister for Interior, Ebenezer Telabi, said the government is considering extending the program. However, he emphasized that for now, the current deadline is the 15th of January and it remains in full force. He cautioned that anyone found in possession of illegal firearms after the amnesty period will be dealt with in accordance with the law.
We are aware of the growing public interest and stakeholder calls for the extension, as the CEO said, of the gun amnesty program. I wish to assure you that the Honorable Minister of Interior is giving careful consideration to these calls. This reflects government recognition of the realities on the ground and the need to ensure that no individual is denied the opportunity to comply with the law due to lack of time, information, or access. However, while this consideration is ongoing, it is important to emphasize that the amnesty is still in effect. The program provides a lawful, non-punitive window for individuals who are in possession of illicit firearms or ammunition to surrender them voluntarily strongly encourage all persons in possession of illicit firearms to take advantage of the gun amnesty program surrounding such arms is not a sign of weakness. It is a responsibility that protects families, communities, and the nation at large. For those who may be eligible to regularize their firearms, this is the appropriate and lawful path to follow. Let me be clear that once the amnesty period comes to an end, the law will be enforced fully and with your support. Possession of illicit firearms outside the amnesty framework will attract a prescribed sanction. The choice before us is straightforward: cooperation now or consequences later.
The Minister for Interior, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, has announced the arrest of one person by the Ghana Police Service for allegedly using social media to lure and deceive unsuspecting.
We ain't some ahodoa, a course or channel, so I'm not so jimmy or had a senator body, Edia Dumbi Edumini. Unia, the business shame, na your small question, AGH Politics Avenue.